From darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good evening and namaste, everybody, and welcome. My pranams to Revered Akhanda Prana Mataji, Revered Dhyana Prana Mataji, and congratulations to their wonderful team, which has put together this beautiful, beautiful retreat for all of us. We were here actually a few years ago, in 2019, and then COVID happened and we couldn't do this retreat anymore. But as you can see, it's a wonderful location, and it's named so beautifully, Spirit in the Desert. Evocative of the early days of Christianity, when the very sincere seekers, very sincere practitioners, what we call in Sanskrit sadhaka, spiritual seeker, practitioner, they would go out into the deserts of Egypt and spend the rest of their life in prayer and meditation, contemplation, very austere, very contemplative, inward lives. And you feel that in this place. It's a good place for Vedanta. It's a good place for practice of Advaita Vedanta, for the contemplation of Advaita Vedanta. Spirituality, the goal of spirituality, the purpose of spirituality is that there is something by knowing which, attaining which, reaching which, getting which, no matter what language you use, there is some spiritual reality by which one can transcend sorrow and attain fulfillment. That's all that we are trying to do. We are all trying to attain fulfillment, and we are all trying to overcome sorrow in our lives. When we talk about God realization, self-realization, enlightenment, somebody might say, that's not my goal, that's not my purpose, it's not something I'm really interested in. I'm interested in a career or raising a family or whatever. But when we think about what we are trying to achieve through money, through knowledge, through power, through popularity, in one or many of all of these ways, what we are trying to achieve is fulfillment. I remember the scientist Sean Carroll, he wrote this book, The Big Picture. And I was there in one of those book lounges, And I remember reading in that book that people say that the search for happiness is the goal of life. I don't agree. And I was a little disappointed to read that. Because he says, the argument there is, no, happiness is not the goal of my life. The goal of my life is knowledge. There is something that I want to know and I'm willing to give up anything in this pursuit of knowledge. Well, that's not a very good argument. One could just as well ask, if you attain, if you make some progress towards this knowledge which you are seeking in your field, would that make you more fulfilled or less fulfilled? What is it that you're seeking through that knowledge? There's something beyond that knowledge which you're seeking. There is fulfillment. So we are seeking fulfillment, happiness. And the Sanskrit word is sukha, ananda. And also, the other side, the flip side of the coin is we're trying to overcome sorrow. That's the side Buddha approached spirituality from. Sarvam dukkham, all is sorrow. And we naturally try to overcome, transcend sorrow. Spirituality of all sorts, in every religion, this is a Christian institution, here also, and in every religion, throughout the history of civilization, in every part of the world, at every point in history, Spirituality has given the answer in affirmation that yes, it is possible. This is a very important thing. Especially in this day and age, large numbers of people disregard this possibility. Is there any real possibility of overcoming the human condition? Or is it that this is the best? Try to get as good a life as you can, and it will all end very soon anyway, and that's it. That's the end of story. Lights out. Lots of people believe in that because they can't take the claims of religion seriously. But spirituality claims that this is possible. Why I'm using these two words separately, religion and spirituality? I consider the spirituality to be the core of religion. At the heart, at the essence of all religions lies. Because religion has many other dimensions also. There are social dimensions, there are ritualistic dimensions, political dimensions, many other things are there. But all religions at their heart, this is the purpose of religion, the core purpose of religion, to take the bridge between the human and the divine. That this is possible. If you reach, you get salvation, moksha, nirvana, satori, many words throughout the history of humanity at different times. If you reach that, the promise is you do overcome suffering. You do attain bliss. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, there is something attaining which nothing greater remains in life to attain. There is something being centered in which even the heaviest of sorrows cannot shake you. Yang ladvana chaparam labham manyate tato vadikam. Gita. Yasmin stito dukkhena gurunapi na vichalyate. Centered in which the heaviest of sorrows cannot shake you. Such a thing is there. It is not just promise. There is evidence. The evidence is the lives of enlightened people, masters whom we consider saints, spiritual masters, in every religion, in every spiritual tradition. And their lives are the evidence that this is true. This is possible. Especially in our day and age, in the last 150 years, one of the most blazing examples was Sri Ramakrishna. I come across again and again people, not only in our own spiritual tradition, but in other spiritual traditions also, who were inspired, who were encouraged, strengthened in their spiritual quest by reading the story of Ramakrishna. It's such a, Christopher Risher would call it a phenomenon. Such a phenomenon was there in our own time. There are photographs of it. There are accounts by innumerable people of a person who was God intoxicated, for whom the greatest reality was God. And that is a promise to all of us that we can all do that. The goal of life, Vedanta states that the goal of life is enlightenment. Not just for a few monks, not just for a few saints, for every one of us. Whether we know it or not, whether we are pursuing this or not, whatever we are doing in life, we are moving towards that goal. Sri Aurobindo said, life itself is yoga. Life itself is yoga. Do it knowingly, you call yourself a spiritual seeker. You sign up for a spiritual retreat and come to the spirit of the desert. You're a spiritual seeker. We are spiritual seekers. We are spiritual practitioners. All of us are. Those who say, I don't believe that stuff. I believe in money and science and pleasure and power, and I want to change society or discover new things. All very good things. And I don't believe in all the spiritual stuff. They are unknowingly yogis. Why unknowingly? They will do it. They sincerely pursue whatever they are pursuing. And they'll get a certain amount of wisdom, a certain amount of understanding. And then come to spiritual life. Right? So, spirituality. Swami Vivekananda in this country, when he would talk about, introduce Vedanta, he would quote from the Upanishads, and he would listen, ye children of immortal bliss, even the gods who dwell in higher spheres. I have known that infinite being, which is radiant like the sun, and beyond the darkness of suffering and limitation. By knowing that alone, one goes beyond death. There is no other way. I think this sort of sums up the whole agenda and purpose and claims of spirituality. In Sanskrit, Shrinvantu Vishve Amitasya Putra, listen ye children of immortal bliss. Aye Ramani Divyani Tastu. If the gods are there in heaven, you also listen, because what I am going to say is a secret not known even to the gods in heaven. The gods in small g, Devatas. Vedaham Purusham Mahantam. I have realized that infinite being. What kind of infinite being? Blazing forth with light. Aditya Varna. Not this material light, the light of consciousness. Tamasat Parasta. Beyond darkness, beyond the darkness of limitation, beyond the darkness of this eternal cycle, this seemingly endless cycle of life and death, beyond the darkness of sorrow and separation and misery and struggle, there is a further shore beyond the ocean of samsara. It is there. Tameva viditva, by knowing that. Eva, the word eva is crucial. By knowing that alone, one goes beyond darkness. Ati mrityu eti, one transcends death. And all the host of sufferings and sorrows associated with eternal change and continuous slipping away from our hands. It's slipping away. In Sanskrit, this is called samsara. The world and its people and its possessions and its achievements and its experiences are continuously, moment to moment, slipping away from us. And we try to desperately grab onto it, grab onto people, to popularity, to youth and beauty and strength and health and knowledge and power and position. We try to grab onto that, and we are all slipping away of it. Samsara. This is samsara. And therefore we suffer. We suffer. So this continuous slipping away, there is an end to it. There is a further shore. In Hinduism, in Vedanta, the state of samsara is compared to a huge ocean. Bhavasagar. Bhavasagar means the ocean of becoming. A very profound philosophical way of putting it. The ocean of becoming. Bhavasagar. And there is a further shore to it. But how do you cross this ocean? By knowing that infinite reality. Tam eva viditva, by knowing that infinite reality. One crosses the ocean of death. One attains to immortality. In whichever way you understand it. Transcending death. Every religion promises that. Every religion. That there is something beyond life and death. And there is no other way. Nanya pantha vidyate. I remember this beautiful song by a Bengali poet, spiritual seeker poet, where he says, I have come to the shores of this ocean and blinded by the dust of the road of my travels, the path of my travels. I traveled through life, maybe lifetimes. And I come to the shore. And will I, oh my Lord, will I come, having come here, will I be told that the ferry service is stopped? The boat is not going across anymore. It's too late. Will I be told that it was all false? That it's not true? God doesn't exist? There is no solution to the problem of sorrow and death and suffering? Will I have to hear this? Or is it true? Is it true? The heart wants it to be true. Vedanta is this path to immortality, path beyond sorrow. There are different ways of doing it. There are multiple religions, multiple paths. We are going to be talking about one of them. Today, tomorrow, day after, until Tuesday morning. We're going to be talking and practicing, trying to understand one of these paths. This is the path of knowledge, the path of non-dual Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. How do you realize God? How do you realize the true nature of the self? How do you realize that ultimate reality? There are different formats. Vedanta, the path of knowledge, is a particular format. In order to know what one thing is, it's often useful to distinguish it from what it is not. So quick word about what Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta is not. One way of being spiritual is belief, faith. And remember, when I'm setting it aside, I'm not saying that they are not true. They are true, they are valid, they are beautiful, valid, and they work. But we're going to do one of them in the next few days. So one must understand precisely what is it that we are talking about. So one way of being spiritual is faith, is belief. God exists, God can save us. Faith in God, belief in God, worship of God, love of God. And how will we be saved from our present human condition? How will we attain fulfillment? How will we go beyond sorrow? By the grace of God. So the onus is on God. One of the great devotees in India, in the devotional tradition, he sings to God that, "O Lord, I have heard that you test your devotees. You test those who seek you. You put them through tests. And if they pass, then only they get God realization, they get you. But in my case, that won't do. I will test you. I will test you because I'm such a hopeless case. Don't waste your time trying to test me. I will test you. Can you take me, somebody as hopeless as me, and save me? Take me beyond samsara. Make me spiritual. Give me God realization." So that's the path of devotion. That's a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful path. One day we must do a retreat on that path. Focusing on that. But the problem with that is, somebody might say that, "Yeah, but I really don't believe all that stuff." And if you don't believe, then the path of devotion will not start for you. You cannot start on the path of devotion by quoting Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris. I want to be spiritual on this path, but let me put my cards on the table. I'm a strict atheist. Whatever you say, I'll say no, I don't believe it. Then it will not start for you. This will not work for you. We live in a world of lot of skepticism. Somebody said that the world that we live in, there have never been so many non-believers ever in the history of humanity. And not only non-believers, not only agnostics and atheists. The more, it seems, the more wealthy and educated and smart you are, the less likely you are to believe in God. Richard Dawkins himself points out, somebody asked him, "You talk about atheism, but only a tiny fraction of the world's population is atheist." And he says, "Yes, that's true, tiny fraction of the world's population. But if you, he gave an example of a poll that was taken of Nobel Prize winners, Nobel laureates. And 80 to 90% of them were either agnostics or atheists. And then he says, what's the implication? The smarter you are, the less likely you are to believe in God. So there is this challenge, the death of God. We cannot seriously take these claims about God and heaven anymore. Is there any other way? And then comes the other way, the path of meditation, the path of yoga. Vivekananda especially stressed it in the United States when he came more than 100 years ago. He said, religion is realization. Religion is not believing something. If God exists, I should be able to see God. That was his quest. The young boy Narendranath Datta becomes Vivekananda, going around in 19th century, late 19th century Calcutta, and asking spiritual teachers and preachers, have you seen God? Not whether God exists. Not whether, why should I believe in God? What are the reasons and arguments for the existence of God? No. Have you seen God? A very empirical question from an empirical age. And the path of yoga, it is, I'm just using the word yoga, but it is there in all the mystical traditions of India. And at the heart of all mystical traditions in all religions of the world. That path of meditation, of direct realization. Yes, it answers yes. You can experience God. And not only that, that is the goal of life, to experience God, to see God. And how do you do that? You don't have to believe. It's not a question of faith. It's a question of practice. It's a question of stilling the mind. And we will show you how to sit, how to breathe, and how to turn inwards, how to still the mind, and how you will see the reality beyond the mind. That is the yogic path. For example, the Patanjali Yoga. It's an example. There are many such paths. Tantric path, Kashmiri Shaivism, in Buddhism, in many, many paths, where control of the mind and practice of certain techniques of meditation is going to take you to realization. Again, I am not saying that I'm not setting it aside in that sense. I'm just distinguishing the path of knowledge from those paths. So what's the paradigm here? The paradigm in the bhakti path, in the devotional path is God exists and we need to have faith in God. If you don't have faith, then it will not work for you. In this mystical path of direct experience through control of the mind, meditative control of the mind, in many traditions are there. Here the paradigm is, no, not faith in God. Here the paradigm is, the problem is the restlessness of the mind, and the solution is quietening the mind and stilling the mind. In that still and absorbed mind, the truth shines forth. Yoga, chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is stilling the movements of the mind. What happens when you do that? Tadadrashtu swarupi avasthanam. Then the witness consciousness is appreciated, it remains in its real nature as pure consciousness. If you don't do that, if you don't still the mind, if you do not meditate, you do not absorb, what happens? Vritti sarupya mitaratra. The mind's vrittis, movements, become identified with, as if one with, your real nature. And so whatever happens in the mind, there is a flash of anger in the mind. And what do we say? We don't say, I am the pure consciousness witnessing the anger in the mind. No. We say, I am mad at you. I am mad at you. That means I am the mind there, literally becomes the mind there. Anger, greed, depression, whatever it is. Whatever the mind shows us, we feel one with it. So this is one way of becoming spiritual. Stilling the modifications of the mind so the truth beyond the mind becomes clear. As distinguished from this, even this has a problem. There is mystical experiences. People have extraordinary experiences. The problem might be, a skeptic might say, oh, we don't doubt that you are having a mystical experience. But that doesn't mean it's real. It could just be a tumor in your brain or you're having a stroke. There was a very popular talk on TED Talks and all. This lady who's a trained neuroscientist. She had experienced some kind of stroke in the brain and she had an extraordinary experience. But the problem there is that you make it physical. You make it body-based. You're feeling one with the universe. We don't doubt you're feeling one with the universe. But that does not mean you are one with the universe. It just means you are having a stroke. Or you are high. I often joke in Manhattan, in Central Park, there are a lot of people having spiritual experiences. But there is high. They are on some kind of drug, or the old argument, old accusation against mystics in all throughout history, in every religion of the world. What happens when somebody says, I'm experiencing God? What's the first reaction of people? You're mad. What did people say to Sri Ramakrishna? You're crazy. It's the crazy Brahmin priest of Dakshineshwar. You're mad. People don't take it seriously. Now, as against these paths, different from these paths, alike to them but different from them, is a path of knowledge. I want to distinguish what we're going to do tomorrow and the day after. We are not being asked to believe in anything here. We'll talk about Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness, but not for belief. This is a path of what one might call experiential knowledge. It's a path of knowledge, but the moment you say it's a path of knowledge, the problem with us is we know what knowledge is. It's what we got in school and college. Not that kind. It's not just reading about, taking down some notes and then filing it away for future reference. Not like that. Rather, that knowledge directly connected to our lived experience. Experiential knowledge. We might not call it experience, but just pure experience by itself without the knowledge also won't work. Why? We'll see a little later. Tomorrow itself we'll see. The ultimate reality which Vedanta speaks about, Atman, Brahman, whatever it is, is already being experienced. It doesn't do us any good. It's already here. So we have to be introduced to it. That knowledge which introduces us to an already existing reality. So that knowledge, that's jnana. I'll make a point here. There's one kind of knowledge which will tell you, say for example, you're told about spirit in the desert. And you go to the website and visit it and see the brochure and see. That's one kind of knowledge. You have information. We have information. But until we actually come there, we can't claim I'm experiencing it. I have information. So that's one kind of knowledge. And that, mostly it's like that. And that happens in spiritual life also. We read about God, heaven, Narayana, Vaikuntha, devotion to God, and then you have a vision of God, and one day you go to heaven. All of that is theoretical at present for us. One day we might. So there is knowledge, but the experience is still far away. Even yogic techniques. So you read books and you attend classes, but none of that is going to do us any good until we actually practice it and get those experiences which are promised. Until those experiences are we get those experiences. Till that time, even the yogic practice is a matter of a lot of knowledge which we are trying to make it experiential. But Vedanta is not like that. Jnana Yoga is not like that. Jnana Yoga is the path of knowledge, is about an already existing reality which will be pointed out. So that when the pointing out is successful, the resulting enlightenment is immediate. Because you're talking about something right here, which was always there. And somebody put it, they have made a website out of it. Never not here. Never not here. What does Vedanta claim? Vedanta claims, yes, in common with all the other spiritual paths, that there is an ultimate reality. What is this ultimate reality according to Vedanta? We have heard it again and again. Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. It's a very dramatic claim. That there is infinite being, infinite consciousness, and infinite fulfillment, limitless fulfillment. Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, being, existence, consciousness, bliss. In fact, there is a Christian theologian, Orthodox Christian theologian, who says, this is the highest teaching of all major world religions. Only it is found most clearly in the Vedanta of Hinduism. He has written a book, God as Existence, as Being, Consciousness, Bliss. Look it up, David Bentley Hart. Don't look it up now. Oh, by the way, one thing about mobile phones and all, you're free to use them, but not in a class. In a class, keep them silence and attention. Attention is very important, and it's a rare commodity in today's world. There is a phenomenon called intermittent attention. Yes, intermittent attention. In a meeting, in a classroom. It's corporate executives, teachers, everybody is reporting this. Kids, and people working in offices and organizations. They're looking at their phones, and then it's not that they're not listening to you, they are listening to you. But they're looking at their phones and then listening to you. And then again looking at the phones and then listening to you. Their attention wanders in and out. Intermittent attention. It's very damaging, especially for spiritual life. All we have, the most precious currency of our lives is attention. What we are thinking about and how much attention we are putting to what we are thinking about. Two things. What is it that your attention is on? And how much of your attention is on that? Milton, the mind in its own place can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. The mind by itself can transform hell into heaven and can transform heaven into heaven. We see such people all around. Inspiring stories of people who have come up from broken homes, poverty, struggled against so many circumstances, crushing them down, and risen to great heights in different fields of life. We come across, there have been some here also. And then we come across the opposite, of kids who are born with the proverbial silver spoon in their mouth, and they ruin their lives through drugs or whatever it is. Mind, it's the crucial thing is mind. mind by itself can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. And one of the factors, not all the factors, but one of the crucial factors in the mind making heaven for itself is attention. The quality of our life, I'm quoting from Mihai, the quality of our life depends on what we attend to and how much attention we give to it. There's a problem in my life, I'm just thinking about that, and all my attention is there, my life is hell. In the midst of the problem, there's something good and noble in my life, I'm thinking about that, and most of my attention is there, my life becomes heaven. Well, Sadhu put it this way, I'll tell you the original in Hindi and translate for you. Very counterintuitive. What we normally think, the wisdom is just the opposite. It's like, it goes like this. He said, आप समझते हैं संसार के चलते मन अशांत है, लेकिन मन की अशांति के चलते संसार है. You think because of samsara, because of the word, my mind is restless. I am so troubled by the word. You don't know my life. It's because of life, it's because of samsara, my mind is so troubled. He says, no. The fact is, it is because your mind is troubled that you have samsara. The other way around. Doctors know this very well. Doctors. Every doctor who has treated thousands and thousands of patients, you always come across these cases where, a minor problem, and the patient is breaking down, is angry, in tears, terrible. But the problem is minor. And you also come across patients who have life-threatening conditions and who react with dignity and calmness and strength, so much so that they are an inspiration to the doctors and the hospital staff. What's the difference? The difference is not really in the disease or the outward circumstances. The difference is in the mind. One person converted a minor problem into hell. Another person's mind converted a hell into heaven, into peace. So, what we concentrate on and how much we do, so attention is very important. Anyway, back to Satchidananda. So, David Bentley Hart, look up that book if you're interested. The chapters, names of the chapters in the book are also Satchidananda. And the book is actually a reply to the atheists, Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, and all. It's a polemical book. David Bentley Hart. But just consider what it means. Vedanta says the highest reality, the ultimate reality, by knowing which we go beyond sorrow, beyond suffering. It is existence, consciousness, bliss. Pure being, limitless existence, limitless consciousness, limitless bliss. What it means we will see. These are big words, but we will see actually what it means. I was just thinking, it hit me just a couple of years back. The three greatest questions in philosophy, world philosophy, three greatest questions. There are three branches of philosophy and they answer three questions. First is, what is real? And the branch of philosophy which deals with reality is called metaphysics. Another new name, more fancy name is ontology. Ontos means being. So what's real? Are chairs and tables real? Are human beings real? Is God real? Is heaven real? Is matter real? Is mind real? What is real? Metaphysics. That's one. The second branch of philosophy, important branch of philosophy, is how do you know? The moment you say God is real, the question will be, how do you know? This how do you know question is answered by a branch of philosophy called epistemology, the study of knowledge. How is knowledge possible? How do you know anything? The study of knowledge itself. And third, the big question, what's the point of it all? Why? What do I get out of all of this? So that branch of philosophy which studies value, good and bad, beautiful and ugly, there were a number of branches of philosophy which used to do that. Aesthetics, ethics. Now they have been clubbed together into a new branch, a new name called axiology. Axiology. It's not a very popular name, but it's useful. It's an umbrella term covering many things, the study of values. So three questions. All of philosophy. The deepest, greatest questions of which we human beings have ever, have ever posed. What's real? How do you know anything? And what's the point of it all? And now look at the answer from Vedanta. Sat, Chit, Ananda. What is reality? Sat, being itself. We'll see what it means. How is any knowledge possible? Chit, consciousness. Then what's the point of life, universe? What's religion? What's the point? What will we get at the end of it? Answer, Ananda. How elegant. And Vedanta claims such a thing is there. It's not theoretical. Limitless reality, limitless consciousness, limitless fulfillment is there. It's a reality. And it goes on to claim, Vedanta, that these three are not three, they are one. There is one reality, which is limitless existence, limitless consciousness, and limitless fulfillment. Satchidananda. And it goes on to claim even more dramatically, stunning, that reality. You say, okay, suppose it's there. Where is it? When is it? Where can we find it? The answer is, it's you. Tattvamasi. The central teaching of Vedanta is, you are that. Tattvamasi. You are that Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. What is Vedanta? The definition we memorized as monastic novices, students of Vedanta. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Brahmana. Vedanta is the source of knowledge called Upanishads. And there is something to be understood here. It will become clearer what I said earlier. What is Vedanta? Is it a technique? No. Is it a practice? You sit like this, you close your eyes like this, you breathe like this? No. Is it a belief system? No. What is Vedanta? The word uses pramana, source of knowledge. What it means is this. How do you are all there? I know that you are all here. How do I know? With the help of my eyes. His mind with the eyes open proves, reveals the existence of all these people. Forms are revealed by the eyes. How do I know? I see. How do I see? With the help of the eyes. What is the source of visual knowledge? Visual perception. What is the source of that knowledge? Eyes. Of course, the mind plus the eyes, plus object, light, all of that. But eyes are the special cause of visual knowledge. You are hearing what I am saying. And this knowledge, you're getting knowledge of speech. What is being uttered here? That's knowledge. How do you get that knowledge? What practice do you have to do? What belief do you have to have? Swami, nothing is required. I just need my ears to be working and mind to be attentive. Then I can hear what you are saying. So the ears are the source of knowledge for auditory knowledge. Sound. Ears are the pramana, source of knowledge for sound, speech. Eyes are the pramana for the forms, visual knowledge. Mind plus eyes reveals forms. Mind plus ears reveals speech. Now my question is, mind plus what will reveal Brahman, the ultimate reality? Self, God, Atman, what? What Brahman? What source of knowledge? And Vedanta claims to be that Brahman. Vedanta says, I am that Brahman, that source of knowledge. Mind plus me. I means not this person. Vedanta. Mind, put Vedanta in your mind. Through that Brahmana, you will realize your true nature as Satchidananda. Tattvamasi, you are that reality, you will realize. It's a source of knowledge. Can we put it together, what I said earlier, that it's not a belief system, it's not a technique of meditation, it is the yoga of knowledge, and we put it together with this Brahman, idea of source of knowledge, put it together. What is crucial in Vedanta is not how you sit or breathe, or not what you believe, not what rituals you perform, not even what religion you belong to or do not belong to. It's the use of the pramana, the source of knowledge. How do we use that pramana, that source of knowledge? 3 steps, 3 components. It's called Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa. This is what we'll be doing for the next few days. Hearing, reasoning, meditation. And the classes from tomorrow onwards will be structured in that way. There will be a component of hearing. There will be a component of discussion. And a component of meditation. So, hearing, that's when the teaching is given. Listen attentively, listen not only with our own ears, but ears, mind, no intermittent attention. And therefore, mobile phone off. Cell phone off, at least for the duration of the talk. Yes, I just wanted to say that one good way of using this retreat, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't say I'm going to attain enlightenment by Tuesday morning. It's a beautiful place, it's a quiet place, which has vibrations of spirituality, because for many, many, many years people have used it for spiritual retreats in different traditions. So first and foremost, rest. People are busy and stressed, so rest. Less socialization, more rest. This place is meant for rest. Yeah, it's good. In dinner time, you talk and meet people and chit-chat, that's also rest, that's also relaxation. But other times, let's try to be alone. We have beautiful rooms, very nice view, quiet place, rest. Then, let's save our energy and attention for the class. Listen carefully. The most important component of the three, listening, reasoning, and meditation. Most people are caught by the glamour of meditation. I want to do non-dual meditation. It sounds very cool. Nothing much happens really. You mostly either one falls asleep, or if you try really, really hard, you get a headache. The most important component is hearing. Listen. It's a system of knowledge. Something is being pointed out to us. We are talking about the highest. This is the Everest peak of the Himalayas. When we become monks, one of the vows we take is Brihad Bade Masvira. O heroic ones, speak from now on only about great things. Speak about the vast. Speak about the limitless. Speak about God and self and infinity. Do not speak about petty things. We will speak about great things now. Nothing greater than the speech, the talk we will have in the next few days. Greater than that is silence, and greater than that silence is God or Brahman itself. So, the highest, we'll talk of the highest. How do you listen? A Buddhist Lama once said, it seems that in their classes begin with this, the teacher telling them, how do you listen? So don't listen like a leaky pot, upside down pot, dirty pot. So upside down pot, we put water, everything pours out. It just pours out the side, nothing accumulates. People ask, so what did you learn in the wonderful retreat Vedanta? I don't know, all sorts of big things they talked about. Swami said we talk about big things, and they did. They did talk about big things. Swami Ranganathan used to tell this story. He was the head of the Ramakrishna Mission in New Delhi. So after one of his very well-known talks on Vedanta, this lady would sit in the front row. A very nice, homely sort. She was very dedicated to come every class. So after the class, the lady, while leaving the hall, said to Swami Ranganathan, "Bahut badhiya hua Swami, very good Swami, it was a really good talk." And Swami made a mistake by asking, "So what did you like in the talk?" And this lady said, "Hum kya sabke badi badi Vedanta ki baat? What do I know? We talked about big Vedantic things." No, that's an upside down pot. We must not be like that. We must accumulate water. It's being poured, so don't listen like upside down pot. One must be able to say afterwards, so this is what they talked about. Second, don't listen like a leaky pot. I got it, but sometimes you fill up the pot, then sometimes no water is left. It's all leaked out. We must retain. There's a dhriti, it's called dhriti, the ability to hold on. At least the essence. There's a nice phrase used in corporate America, take away. Not the take away food kind. Take away from the talk, from the conference, from the seminar, take away. Few key points. Then third is dirty pot. So the dirty pot is dirt in the pot and you put pure water in it, it'll still be dirty because the dirt will pollute the water. So dirty pot is, I have come with an agenda. I know I'm right and this guy is wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. No, don't do that. Don't do that. First, so listen. How do I know that listening is over? When I can say, this is what they talked about, this is what the book says, we talk more about the book tomorrow. But this is what the book says, I know what the book says. Then your listening is complete. I can tell you what was said there. Listening is complete. What remains? Well, I have doubts. I can tell you what was said. Well, this is very important. Very, very, very important. Many people, we come in with our own ideas and we go out with our own ideas. The class made no difference to us. That will not do. I must take away something. Now, there might be this question. I heard what you said, but I have many questions. I don't get this thing and that thing and that thing. Then we enter into the second phase, which is reasoning, questioning. And we will have some time allocated in each of the classes and at the end of the day for questioning. The questions are, if you have general questions about spiritual life, keep them for the evening session, which we'll have tomorrow and on Monday also. Then, how do you know that the reasoning phase is over? It won't be over in one retreat. The more we hear, the more we think about it, the more questions will come, and that's good. That's really good. That phase is over when you can say, at least to yourself, when you can say, I've got it, I'm convinced, I'm sold. I get it. I not only know what the teaching is, I understand it too. To the extent that every possible question, I think I have a good answer, at least to me a satisfactory answer. I have clarity now. That's second. What remains then? Well, one might still complain, I have clarity, I've got it now, but it's not a living reality for me yet. You promised that I will transcend sorrows. It will be the greatest thing that anybody's ever got is nothing greater than this to get. I don't feel like that. I don't feel I've transcended my sorrows. I don't feel that limitless fulfillment you're talking about. So it's not a living reality yet for me. To make it a living reality, what we have heard and what we have got clarity about, we must dwell on that in meditation for a pretty prolonged time. That's called Nididhyasana, non-dual meditation, special kind of meditation. Shravana, hearing. Manana, reasoning. Nididhyasana, non-dual meditation. A little bit of each, mostly Shravana we will do, and Manana and Nididhyasana also. It's not something to be done and completed, been there, done that, become enlightened, didn't work. No, it is a project of our lifetimes. What we are doing here is part of our own spiritual story. So that is the most precious thing that you have got. I admit to being a little biased in favor of Advaita Vedanta, little pro-Advaita Vedanta. I really haven't come across anything as amazing as Advaita Vedanta. For sheer logic, for sheer elegance, for sheer and for the vastness of vision. Oh my God. You are the one limitless existence, consciousness, space, the very ground of this universe. And already so. And choicelessly so. You can't back out of it. You are God. And it can be realized. And it can be lived. And it's all here and now. It's not something postponed for a post-mortem spirituality. No. Right now. If only if you want it. If you want it. It's there for the taking. What a stunning claim. Max Muller was reading, many great people, philosophers, Indologists, spiritual seekers, they have lauded Vedanta to the skies. Max Muller was reading, he says, there is no religion on earth which is as rational and as fulfilling as the Vedanta system of Hinduism. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. The great philosopher, Schopenhauer, Arthur Schopenhauer, who read a translation of the Upanishads from Sanskrit into Latin, from Sanskrit to Persian to Latin. And he read that. The book was called Upanishad. And he said, I consider no study in the world as beneficial as the study of this Upanishad, except perhaps the originals, which he never got to read, but he says these Upanishads or Upanishads, it has been the solace of my life, it will be the solace of my death. And many, many people, even one of the most recent ones I heard about, I was reading an article on the written by philosophers on self and no self. There is an article on the self from the Vedantic perspective, self as light, as consciousness, by somebody called Wolfgang Schmidt. And I really loved that article. I said, this is a person who's got it. But who is this person? I don't know about him. And then I looked him up. Oh my God, we just missed him. He died last year. Or a year before last, I think. He was this incredible person who, at the age of 18 or 17 or 18, graduated from Harvard University with a double major, I think, in mathematics and theoretical physics. Brilliant person, a theoretical physicist, worked for NASA, I think the re-entry of space vehicles, that depends on the theoretical work that he did. And then he became a Vedantist and a Christian mystic, both together. Anyway, we missed him. So, a whole range of people testify to the amazing nature of this teaching, the incredible nature of this teaching. I think Dr. Radhakrishnan, Sarvapriyananda calls traditional Advaita Vedanta as the fairest flower of Indian's philosophy. So this is what we're going to speak about. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Okay, that's as good a sales pitch. Listen carefully. Let us try to feel it during. Oh, there's one more thing. One monk put it so beautifully. How do you listen to Vedanta? How do you take Vedanta? Make it living. How do you make it living? He says, when you ask a child, what's a nose? What is a nose? In Hindi you say, what is naak? Naak. What's the nose? The child does not say it is the organ of respiration and olfactory sense organ. No, the child will say, this is the nose. Show you the nose. In philosophy, this is called an ostensive definition, not a verbal definition. You point out the reality. This is the nose. Use Vedantic teachings in that. What we will hear tomorrow, use it like that. Not for the nose, but for pure consciousness. It's like this. It's like this. When I say the hand, don't immediately go to the head and say, hand is that organ, motor organ by which I grasp things. No, do this. When I say hand, okay, hand, here it is. When I say the breath, breathe in. Notice the breath at the nostrils. And breathe out. Notice it. That's breath. It's all nose. When I say mind, Vedanta says mind. Notice it. Thoughts, memories, desires. Our first person inner experience. Mind. That's mind. And like that, one more step beyond that. We'll go. The witness of the mind. At every stage it must be like nose. At no stage should you say, it's theoretical. I remember I was giving a talk in Calcutta, in the college in Narendrapur. Huge audience. The first time I had to give a talk while running. And not literally. They said, Swami, we have a request for you. We didn't expect so many people. So we have divided them into two halls. 600 in one and 800 in the other. And we had thought you'll give a talk in one hall, and the other hall there will be a projector. And they all said, no, we see him on screen anyway. So we're taking all this stuff to come here. We want to see him live in the flesh. So what we're going to do is, you give half the talk here, and we'll make a run for the other half. And then you get the other half of the talk there. And that's what we did. They designed it beautifully and gave half of the talk, and then they declared a tea break, and then I appeared in the other half. Yes, to keep it real. In that talk, at the question and answer session, I quite mentioned this, in the question and answer session, a lady came up quite indignantly to the microphone and said, all this is nice, but it's so theoretical. I said, madam, not one thing I said is theoretical. What is theoretical? The fact that you are standing there. that is body, it's there. Is the body theoretical or is it a fact? Is it theory or fact? He said it's a fact. And that you're speaking now, is it theory or fact? It's a fact. And if you look into yourself, introspect, you have thoughts. Do you have thoughts or not? Yes. Are those thoughts theories or are they facts? Is it a fact that you have a thought? Like that, from that thought to the witness of that thought, to the consciousness experiencing that thought, illumining that thought, is not a theory. At one point we stop and feel it's theoretical. And that's where we need to bear down and investigate. What is it that's like? Knows. It's real. That's why I'm calling it experiential knowledge. At no point will the knowledge fade out and only experience remain, or no point will the experience, if the experience fades out and only knowledge remains, it becomes theoretical, it becomes metaphysical, speculative. Philosophical speculation, one might say. It's not philosophical speculation. That's the secret to making Vedanta living, and the shortest way to enlightenment. So, we will see tomorrow. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Namastu. That's it. Thank you. Have a very good night.